I wasn't the optimum level, or I wasn't leveled enough in terms of perhaps weapons when I did take on him. His first phase I learned, but his second phase was giving me problems too. So Margit, again, look at this wind up attack. You really want to exploit the shit out of that. Right, there we go, and we hit him again. He's gonna come out with his knives again. You roll away. Timing is key to this fight. Even on a higher level, or being relatively prepared for this fight, Margit still hits really hard. And I was looking into a lot of first time Elden Ring players encounters with this boss, and my goodness gracious, they were not kidding. It's absolutely legend of a fight, because I had been researching it as well, in terms of, you know, what the rates were with this fight. There are so many attempts on Margit. Margit is absolutely brutal for a gatekeeper boss, even though it's supposed to be an early game boss. He's not even a shard bearer, but yeah, he was so worth the fight and learning the hell out of. So as you can see, I had literally ran out of flasks, but my understanding of how to...
Is this an argument, or just the start of it? Either way, I don't wanna be a part of it. Can I just get some space? I don't have the heart for this. I can't be picking up the pieces, fixing scars from this. Is this an argument, or
beat the tutorial boss before getting stuck in Stormfoot catacombs after investigating some of Limegrave in my latest premiere of Elden Ring, and now this is going to be the first video to kick off the series. Margit the Fell Omen. Now everyone was telling me, make sure you level up, make sure you prepare for this boss, and like you're supposed to before you go up against him. But yes, maybe 1 or 2 optional bosses I had defeated before this, but I pretty much beeline towards him because I wanted to see what he was all about. So this is going to be a full breakdown on how to be Margit under leveled, or a really low level. It is possible because I tested it for you. I spent 7 hours, so literally about half a day in total of gameplay, and hours racked up, learning him to the point where I could pretty much get through the fight, and what I could advise as well. In his first phase, Margit has a staff where he whips around, and you want to stay at far range. The strategy here is, this is for melee users, you know, there's no perks or anything. There was literally, you know, even if you have a bad weapon, it's a fight where you have to be extremely patient, so the stakes and the rules that I set myself were really high. Hence you can imagine the pain it was to try and get everything right. So Margit has this staff attack that you want to bait out. It's when he winds up his attack, he's going to hit you twice, and then you want to get behind him, and that was the attack that I was relying on. The other 2 attacks that he's going to do is obviously the dagger attack and his leaping attack. The moment he's finished his leaping attack, you want to roll directly under it and then slash him behind. 2 free slashes. I was using 2 scimitars over here. You need a fast weapon to make sure you deal a quick amount of damage, either a fast weapon or a weapon that does heavy damage or something. If you're going two-handed, then it makes sure that you time your swings and be patient. Right, so his second phase is going to come out with a hammer. Now the hammer can actually be rolled into, right, if you roll right between the iframes, where you can sustain another few hits. The key to beating Margit, I learned on a low level, is to make sure you know which attacks to really exploit and which move sets, and it takes a while. So it took me 12 minutes and 15 seconds, I think, and I beat him on level 12 or level 13, so that's only what, like 4 levels above base level, with really bad weaponry as well. However, I did make sure that I had at least 1 more flask of Crimson Tears than the number that you get at the start, so I done 1 upgrade. This is because you're obviously going to need health as well, although one thing that you should keep in mind is that Margit the Fell Omen, it has a really good tracking in terms of when you're healing, he will literally close the distance with you. So again, as you can see, look at that double roll attack in his second phase. You really want to exploit that, because it gets harder to get close to him without sustaining hits, unless you're like really super good at dodging. He also takes out his sword here and does that crazy wind up attack. As you can see, I was getting hit, so I made sure that I controlled the level of health consumption across the fight. I would say Margit really is an endurance battle, given that, you know, at the start of the game, you're not supposed to fight him initially, but if you do, well, he still is one of the earlier bosses, and he's not even one of the great rune bearers. He's literally the gatekeeper to Stormvale Castle. So it was surprising to, you know, come across this boss that early. I have to admit, the design of this boss is fantastic. It was such a fantastic fight as well. But once you really learn how to exploit the movesets, as you can see, I was taking my time and being patient too, waiting for him. He circles. I'm going to try and bait that winding attack. Make sure you dodge those daggers. Right, as soon as that hammer comes down, potentially you can get a few hits in. Just watch out for the sword and the poke later. As you can see, I did get caught by it. As you can imagine, they were deaths until I literally managed on this attempt with most of the knowledge and most of the openings. It wasn't a flawless victory or anything. I did use up all of my flask of Crimson Tears, but I did play to a strategy, which was to play patient and literally bait out for those attacks. As I'm going to explain, I was rolling back and forth. I was playing a warrior character too. Although I have no particular builds when it comes to the free Souls games that I have tackled. I've tackled them mainly by studying the patterns of bosses. Yes, of course, I upgraded my weapon here and there, but I wanted to kick off my Elden Ring playthrough with an absolutely, a phenomenal challenge overcome, and that's what I do. Often Miss C.O.Z makes things more difficult for herself rather than easier within the game. You'll be seeing that plenty in the premieres too, but there will also be some good times too, and more boss fights on their way. As you can see, I was waiting again, so we've gotten past half his health. We roll back now. We're waiting. He spends a lot of time quite literally not moving around. Right, we see that hammer. It would have been a good opportunity to hit him, but we decided not to, because as you can see, it's about risk management. Right, roll through his attacks here, but he literally insta hits with his hammer. In the second phase, his hammer comes out. In the first phase, it's just his staff. Does terrible amounts of damage. It's this attack you want to bait out. Right, he's going to swing twice, gives you ample time to get in a few hits at least. Of course, I didn't go in for a charge here. I was using a scimitar. At this time, I did not have what would later become my weapon of choice, which was the two-handed Bloodfang weapon. That was that leveled extremely well with Dex and can be obtained from the Bloodfang Knight. Again, he's going to use his hammer. You can roll away from it into it. Remember, if you roll into it, that's how I was dealing a lot of damage to him in his second phase throughout the course of this a long fight, using a melee strategy, paying attention. The way I done it was the same way. It reminded me of when I done my blood level 4. Often I would have to take ages on bosses, and with Godric I did too, because when I faced off Godric, I wasn't the optimum level, I wasn't leveled enough in terms of perhaps weapons when I did take on him. His first phase I learned, but his second phase was giving me problems too. So Margit, again, look at this wind up attack. You really want to exploit the shit out of that. Right, there we go, and we hit him again. He's going to come out with his knives again. You roll away. Timing is key to this fight. Even on a higher level, or being relatively prepared for this fight, Margit still hits really hard. And I was looking into a lot of first-time Elden Ring players' encounters with this boss, and my goodness gracious, they were not kidding. It's absolutely legend of a fight, because I had been researching it as well in terms of what the rates were with this fight. There are so many attempts on Margit. Margit is absolutely brutal for a gatekeeper boss, even though it's supposed to be an early game boss. He's not even a shard bearer, but yeah, he was so worth the fight and learning the hell out. So as you can see, I had literally ran out of flasks, but my understanding of how to pace the fight had been so good after, as you can imagine, half a day, that I was pretty much managing all right. So as long as you have enough health to get you through the fight, if you take your time, it's completely fine, especially if you do it at higher stakes, without leveling up or whatever. You really want to have a go at this boss. That is, I guess, what I wanted to do. And to be fair, my playstyle, it can be criticized as, well, you're not leveling up the intended way that Elden Ring was designed. But it's also kind of a trial and error playstyle when studying concepts and patterns that the community and subscribers have found to watch as sort of actually my playstyle. I rack up a lot of deaths in games, but it's because I spend more hours studying the boss fight on endless runs rather than actually leveling up. And so I kind of narrow down concept strategy, which I've given to you. So this is in terms of pattern recognition, exploiting the hell out of movesets even at crazy stakes like this to overcome challenges. And remember, Elden Ring can be as easy or as hard as you want to make it, and it was quite clear that I had gone and made it very hard for myself. I was playing on melee, and I have been playing the game on melee with 2 scimitars up until I think I defeat the Bloodhound or the Bloodfang Knight, which will come in future videos as well. As you can see, we're still waiting. There's a lot of time he spends just circling you, just waiting. But if trust me, if you go and try and attack him, he chains you into a crazy combos. Right, here it is. This is a combo we want to bait out again. slow and steady wins the race. That is part of the patience that I have been taught through playing these games. So I managed to conquer 3. Yes, they were very difficult feats. Remember, I am an average gamer, but I like to make these videos and break down and analyze the shit out of bosses that I spent ages on and studying too, to show that it is possible. Anything is possible and anything can be conquered. That is the motive of a lot of what these videos were. Demon Souls was my latest challenge, but that was way easier, very easy, the easiest Souls game. Most of the bosses were easier. It was the areas that were harder within that game. But the bosses in Elden Ring, well, they are clearly proving to be the actual Souls game that I wanted. Dark Souls 3 did prepare me for, especially Souls of Cinder, prepared me for having the patience to really study and learn this fight too. As you can see, literally just waiting for that wind up attack. In the second phase, that is what I would recommend, because this is the easiest attack to exploit if you stay at mid range. You obviously need a little bit of RNG, but you do get damage. As you can see, his health bar is massive. With the damage that I was doing, I don't even think I had 1+1 weapon. I beat with the +1 weapon, I'm pretty sure it was a +1 weapon. And I think one of the scimitars that I had, and get this, one of the scimitars that I had didn't even have any levels, and that's because I'm so crazy. I don't know. I leveled one up, but I put more than one, I think, smithing stone into one, and then I didn't level the other because I was getting used to this dual sword thing. I had not planned to, permanently stay with it, which is why I had just started off with the dual swords. But warrior, in terms of the fast level of fighting, the dodging emphasis, was a really good build for me. Because I do enjoy dodging and learning and studying the hell out of pans. It takes me a while in terms of skill curve, but I do get there, as you can see, to deliver you these crazy videos. This is mainly the strategy is paramount to really bait out those attacks with this hammer. Look, he literally comes in with a sword, he shoots you with these daggers, and then he keeps spamming this hammer attack. That's also a really good point, as I mentioned earlier, to get an opening in. Now you can either roll when he slams the hammer down on the floor and get a second with the iframe before you hit him to get in some damage, whether you go for a slash or not. You have to be very quick with your attacks. Remember, the hardest thing about Margit I found was how fast he is able to recover and chain combos and also stop the user healing. As you can see, I've used up all my heals, but I had to literally time my heals. If I spammed them too early, I would not have ended up with any heals for the last section of the fight. So it's literally a great breakdown of what some of the I guess later Elden Ring bosses are really going to challenge me on too, in terms of this is a much bigger game, so it encourages you to pace yourself. I would say it forced me to slow down my playstyle. But overcoming this boss, and keep at it if you are struggling on this boss, overcoming this boss really teaches you a lot about the game. You're probably going to have an easier time against the other bosses later. I still had some problems with Godric, but I'm telling you, he is much easier than Margit. Margit, I feel like, is the real boss of this section. He walks around again, watch it, again he spams it, and it becomes very predictable. You just roll back and forth, you can get so much damage in, and the fight took ages, as you can see, because my weapons were not leveled up. So yeah, we managed with 4 heals and a scimitar, literally one of which had +1, and learned the hell out of this boss to the point where I could analyze it for you and bring you this video. And that is how you defeat Margit under